So I will start with this talk. InterMuc Leopard Project is a project that we are running in the Khomas Softland. It's a project that we are running in the Khomas Softland, in the mountains just outside Windhoek, together with our Auas Oanob Conservancy. And this project started as a follow-up of the previous project that we started already 7 years ago. It's not working. Okay, so the background is a collaboration between the Auas Oanob Conservancy and our institute. Jörg here, the guy on the right, is a scientist at the Leibniz Institute for Wildlife Research, and together with the Auas Oanob Conservancy, which are the members there, they apply for funding to do research of leopards in the Auas Oanob Conservancy. And I think it is really exciting that scientists and farmers working together, for someone called conservation and understanding of wildlife. So it was really exciting project that they started already in 2013. What? Cool. So the main research questions of this project was to understand the feeding behavior of leopards, so the diet and prey preferences, if every leopard has individual preferences, and especially if they are specialized leopards, like caterpillars. Leopards actually just really go for livestock. Okay. Then we also wanted to look into spatial ecology, so home range sizes and the social distribution of leopards across the landscape, and the habitat use.
I'm so sorry, we do have to put some technical details. You can hear it, but it does not transmit to those that always do. And here you can hear it, but we've got someone monitoring, and you come and you go, and you flow and you fly.
Okay, then I'll try. The methodology. So we start setting traps to capture the leopards. We got a total of 20 leopards captured, or 20 leopards that we collared, or the ones we are released without collar, which is more. We fit the GPS collars weighing approximately 350 grams. So this is more or less than 1% for males and for females. Then we flew over the study area to know the data of the leopards, of the collars. And then we look into this data. So when we found these clusters of positions, locations where they spent consecutive hours time, we went there in the field and we found this. So hair, bones, and we could get insight on what these leopards were eating. Okay. These are the movements of 11 females, and yeah, the mean home range was 63 kilometers square, which is 6,300 hectares. This is the mean. Were the females that were roaming less, much less, and females that were roaming much more, from 2,500 hectares to 9,000 hectares. Okay, these were the movements of the males. Okay, the mean was approximately 287 kilometers square, which is around 30,000 hectares. And there were males that were roaming up to 52,000 hectares, and other ones were roaming much less. Okay. Now these are the movements all together. And you see everything patched there. It will be not easy to understand what's going on if you don't look into detail. Okay, so the blue one on the left side is a male, and he has these two females within his home range. You see on the top left corner, there is a female missing. Okay. Then on the right top corner, you see two females. We actually did not manage to capture the male. Okay, and on the bottom side, on the right, this red is a male, and in pink is a female, and we did not capture the other female. So every male has a home range that includes 2 or 3 females within this home range. And these females are also shared a little bit with the neighboring male. You can see the movements visit the borders. So they all have interactions with each other, which was quite interesting. These are the results of the diet of the leopard. So the team visited 253 clusters and found 198 pairing males. Okay, so it means that 89% of the classes visited were successful in terms of finding what they ate. 82% of the diet was oryx, water, and greater kudu, and the diet also included steambok, some cattle, clear mountain zebra, and hartebeest. This is another graph that shows the whole amount of animals killed. So we even found guinea fowl, a horse, unknown animals, obviously, hare, ostrich, waterbuck, etc. The outcomes of this project were two popular publications in Namibia for the public. So one was Leibniz in 2014, and the other one was the Conservation in Namibia magazine in 2015. In scientific publications, we got so far 6 publications out of this project, probably 2 or 3 more coming soon, hopefully. And there were other findings. And in some of these kill sites, we arrived very early. We set satellite files that allow us to check in the morning that the leopard had inside. Okay. So as soon as we knew this, we went to the field and we put some camera traps on the field to know what was going on. And we saw the leopards coming, and we saw hyenas coming, and we saw very interesting interactions between the leopards. And this brought some other research questions that at the end developed into the start of the InterMuc project, which I'm going to talk about now. And so this project focuses trying to give you an insight on interactions between feathers, between feathered species like leopards and cheetahs, or wildcats and minks in Europe and in Africa. And also interactions between individuals of the same species. So interactions between male leopards, female male leopards, and female. Okay, one of the questions was, are leopards as solitary as thought? So are they really solitary animals? And we look into how do the leopards interact and communicate with each other? Do they avoid each other? Do they attract each other? And how does this change within individuals? Okay, another research question applied to coexisting with leopards, which is really important when you go to the farmland, crucial, is the leopard capture the one that makes the kill? And are the leopards that focus and specialize on livestock? So we wanted to get more insight into this. Our preliminary data show that only 3 calves out of these more than 220 kill sites were killed by 3 different leopards. But we maybe had a bias. Maybe we only managed to call out the leopards that were actually not killing calves, and those were removed. Those were killing calves were removed already before we could color them. Okay, so it's important for our study to color leopards that actually have shown that they were in favor of cattle. For this, we need to work with farmers that are willing that after they have a cattle loss, allow us to color one of these leopards. And other research questions focus on interactions among species. So how much other animals benefit from the kills made by the leopards? So this includes genets, mongoose, jackals, hyenas. How much food they steal from the leopards? Okay. How much biomass do leopards lose to other species? Okay, of their kill, and do leopards have to kill more because they provide food for all of these animals? Okay, looking into previous research done, in case of lynx, lynx in Slovenia, which was the study was done, get many of the kills eaten and stolen from bears. Okay, and the kill rate of lynx increased 23% because of the bears or cryptoparazites bears from the kills. Okay, more research done in this time with leopards show that the reproductive success of leopards actually decreased because of the pressure of hyenas and other animal species that are stealing the food from the leopards. But things are a little bit complex because there was a study done in, if I remember well, Sweden, Norway, and North America, where competition between apex predators, brown bears and wolves, they show that actually in areas where the brown bears steal food from wolves, the wolves have less kills. And this was confusing. That should be the opposite, right? And apparently, it is much more energy consuming for wolves to go around and quickly make another kill than just hanging around when the bears are done or interacting with the bears and trying to get some of this meat from the kills already have done, than giving everything away and going for the new kill. So with this background research, it would be really interesting to see what effect do hyenas actually have on leopards? Between more, between less, and does this affect the project success? Okay, so we look into all the data we collected previously to plan our study minutiously. So we looked into this data to know how to program a satellite collars and to know where to capture free-ranging leopards. So we knew already where they were roaming, and we were trying to be really successful choosing the landscape areas where leopards move. So firstly, we look into the time that the leopards were active. So you can see, so this is the activity. At midday, the leopards really decrease activity by noon, by 12 o'clock. When they're really active, 2-3 hours after midnight, and then just shortly a couple of hours after sunset. So this was for females and this was for males. Males travel much more, so this is the speed per hour of the day. So males have bigger home range, so they move faster than females. And these allow us to actually precisely select the locations where we want to deploy these GPS collars. Then we wanted to know when the leopards made a kill, what time do they go back and eat? Okay, so the leopards made a kill, they eat, they feed their belly, they go away, and several hours later, or we didn't know how long later, they come back, feed their belly again, and we wanted to see if there is a time of the day when the leopards actually came and go eat again. So we could see that it's a clear peak. Also, again, 1 hour before sunset, sunrise, and 1 hour after sunset is really when the leopards just go quickly back to what they ate. Okay, so we use these different satellite collars, really looking into the weight that we put on each one of the animals, which is still around 1%, and some remote download collars for just to complement it. Okay, these collars, they all have drop-off, which means that after our study is done, the collar drops from the neck of the animal, we touch it in the field, and the animal doesn't need to run around the collar. So we look into the data and looking also into lines where the leopard moves, and they really allow us to identify riverbeds and riverbeds and locations that leopards really visited a lot to allow us to actually set all of these cages and to try to be as successful as possible and also to capture less all animals as possible. Okay, we were quite lucky and successful so far. Since May, we caught 8 leopards. So this means, 8 leopards in 5-6 months. And we had many other leopards visiting the cages. Actually, if I check the camera trap, almost a leopard every week was visiting one of our cages. The thing they become quite clever, and they almost do. And we also working in an area where we already worked before. So some of these leopards may have been caught before or caught as a young animal with a mother, and you know what the cage is, so I'm not going to work. Okay, so how does our data collection work? So every morning at 8 o'clock, some of these scholars send the data, so I check the laptop, and I see what the leopards have done during the night. So it's almost like Christmas present. Do I get to go to the field, or do I get to stay in the office? And when I see these clusters of points, where the leopards spend the night, say, yes, I'm not going to stay in the office today. So you go out and you walk, you might encounter the leopards while you approach this location, and sometimes you find this. So some people would not like to see this. For me, it's almost like a Christmas present because I get to set some cameras and I get to see what the leopard is doing when it comes back. Okay. So we set a camera trap, video, and to take videos and pictures at the leopard side. What you see there, it is some kind of, not some kind of wire that I tie the animal into a tree, or to a tree, or to a place where the leopard kind of pull it away. So whatever happens has to happen in front of the camera trap. It doesn't help me if it just drags 20 meters away that I'm not seeing. And also helps that the hyena don't carry everything away from the leopards. So it's interesting and you get to see the interactions. And what you see there is 2 camera traps, one to take pictures and the other one to take video and record what's happening. Okay. Once the leopard is done eating, I see this in the data that it comes every night, and then after 10 days, it's gone somewhere else, after 10 days, sorry, after 2-3 days, it still is belly, there's not much meat left, it's gone. And I come back maybe 1 week later or 2 weeks later to collect everything. Once I collect everything, I collect more data. We have some kind of database using the app on the phone, and we collect data to do habitat analysis, which allow us to see what location to select, we let us select when they want to feed. So this can have really good implications for farmers, because then you can detect in the landscape where most of the leopard feeds happen, and you can actually maybe prevent losses, and so maybe we cut the leopards. Okay, some interesting data is because we had data before in the same areas in 2016 and 2017. These were two female scholars. So what happened when we call a new female in the same area? Well, she used almost the same home range as the previous female. I didn't manage to capture the female on the right hand side. She visits the traps every month, but she doesn't go through. But I see that the red area is occupied by another female. The yellow one has done some excursions, maybe to check the neighbor, but she's really settled in the western part. So this is north of Caroline. What do I get to see when I fetch the camera traps? Many things. I showed just one of the videos. Nothing exciting, just a female coming in. But this is a female colored in Windhoek. This oryx was found on the very top of a mountain, but I almost had to climb to get there. So it was very impressive to see oryx in such a rugged landscape. All the information that we get, I'm going to share here some camera trap pictures of L121. So L121 is a nice male of 50 kilos, colored also on Farm Windhoek, and it's having a home range in several of the farms of the Auas Oanob. And these are all the animals that visited this kilo. So two female leopards, check the kilo of this male around, a jackal, a honey badger, brown hyena, warthogs. Warthogs actually eat a lot of meat. Most of my base does that for the leopards, so I'm doing some travel with them. Mongoose, that is there on the left-hand side, you cannot see, birds, and a jackal. You also see sometimes some funny situations. That was a juvenile leopard playing with the food of probably her mother. So the mother left and he came back to the kill. The mother fell over the kill and was playing around. It's quite fun. I want also to mention that we have another leopard project in the Huab, together with InterMuc and Conservation Foundation. These guys are really good at raising money from tourism for conservation. Jason Nutt is running this project, approached us and said, Ruben, we have a camp in Huab, and we will be really interested to see what the leopards in the desert are doing, what home ranges they have. So that's very exciting for leopards in the desert. And we could actually use the same research question that we were doing in the central area to really understand how all these questions, research questions that I just shared with you, actually happen in the desert in a different environment. So this is what we are busy now. We got two leopards. Unfortunately, we could not collect none of them yet, but we are trying. There's pockets that are in the field. I hope we get lucky soon. And now the moment that Valdi was waiting for. She asked me to talk about leopards in different areas. I'm not an expert, so I will give some thoughts on this, and maybe you can share the data. So firstly, to answer to people who got alarmed by this, is that I don't live in Windhoek, but I talk with people who actually live in Windhoek, and people have seen leopards in Windhoek since more than a decade. I just got pictures of leopards sitting at the bus stop and in streets of Windhoek, which are not made. So it is quite common to see leopards in Windhoek. Okay, so there's nothing that is happening now, it's been happening now for almost 10 years. Okay, I really like this study. There's a study that shows that leopards have a role in the environment, and even in very urban, urbanized, and not natural areas, they found that leopards actually have a really important role. So this study was run in Mumbai, where it showed that leopards saved the life, I think the number was almost 200 Indians per year, because leopard controlled the dog population and decreased the rabies spread to humans. And these are big numbers. So it was really, really interesting. And I went to tell me, yeah, this is India. So what about India? Well, people already mentioned that have some quite problems with baboons. And some of them say, yeah, but leopards don't really kill baboons. Actually, they do. And shortly before this talk, I found in the middle there was a kill site done by a leopard on the farm. The farmer was very happy that was a baboon at the park. And also in the desert study area, we also saw pictures of leopards killing baboons. So it is very likely happening around Windhoek, where there's no fence, so there's no much of the prey, that leopards actually prey on leopards. For the people who think that maybe we just should capture this leopard and move it somewhere else to our province, I want to raise, and this is quite a controversial debate, is translocation a possible solution? Okay. Firstly, I will not answer the question, I will just make questions and everybody has to think about it. Is it ethical just to capture an animal, release it somewhere else, and yeah, it should be fine there, and I don't know what it's doing, but at least it's going to be here and we won't get it. Maybe. Yeah. So I want to explain what needs to be considered to be taken into account for considering a successful translocation. Okay, so firstly, the animal needs to settle in the home base. Doesn't have if you drop a leopard and start looking for the whole country. Secondly, when you move this leopard somewhere else, you should not create a problem that you already created in the level before. So if you move a leopard because it was killing livestock and you drop it in the and start killing livestock, you not have to. And then thirdly, and the most important from my point of view, and many people don't take into account, this leopard has to reproduce successfully. So if it doesn't contribute to the population, I mean, you have to translocate these animals somewhere else, you have to again kill it, right? I'm not saying that he has to reproduce successfully in all the cases, because it doesn't happen in nature, but in most cases it should actually happen. Okay. To know all of this, you have to color these animals, every single one of them, and probably for quite a period of time to do the thing the way that you want. So is this sustainable? This is really expensive. And to continue with this, this is movement of one of the young leopards we colored. So it was colored here. Now I'm going to use this. It was colored here. That's farm 2. Okay. So the leopard started the trip here. He went close to Portas mountains. He stayed for a while here before he was going to settle, and he was probably kicked out by a bigger leopard. So he started traveling towards Huab, all the way here, and then decided he was too south and he came back. He moved a bit here. Maybe he also tried to stay there and was probably kicked out by another leopard. So he went again off. So for you to reference yourself, this is Windhoek. The airport is more or less here. And he started moving in this area south of the airport. He started doing some trips close towards Portas and back. And now finally he seems that to have settled here. So when you translocate a leopard, this is probably what you'll be looking at. So the leopard has to move around those kind of place. And most importantly, when you translocate a leopard, there will be another one that is looking around and saying, oh, there is a very empty space here, so I'm going to settle in this area. So you actually just delay the time that the leopard will come eventually. Now the outcomes. So what are the challenges that the leopards face when they start traveling towards the whole landscape looking for the place to settle? So things like this. This was a leopard that we call it also a young male, and we found it several farms away, probably killed by another leopard. You can see the bite marks there, and I've got the scar forming the scar that's getting crushed. So when you translocate a leopard and you not confirm what he's doing, he might not be killed by another leopard. So he also doesn't have. And when leopards move through many farms and also not farms, also in other parts, leopards also face situations like this, which get poached or killed. So moving across these large areas also brings them in contact with humans and conflict, and also in the life. So now you can think if you should translocate a lot of this. I'm not saying that it always happens, but it might eventually happen. So what is the possible solution to live actually with leopards and having livestock? I'm very proud of one of the many farms, but one of them is a farm. Every time we have a meeting, and the farmers go through their round like, yeah, I lost so many cows and I have to eliminate so many leopards. And there's a farmer standing every single time, I'm having 0 losses and I'm getting 0 leopards. And this makes me really proud because it shows that actually there is a possibility to live with leopards. Involves quite a lot of costs and and work, But yeah, if you want to go for profit make, visit farm to move, you will be supported this type of management. And yeah, thank you. And if you have any questions, let me know. So the question was, what does farming do different from other farming, and what are the losses and what are the benefits? Well, they do herding, but maybe Mareike, you want to explain it? Yes, yes. Yes.
So I come from Huab, so maybe I take over here, but it was going to end. So if you see the pictures, or you saw the pictures, can I go? Yeah, thank you. The one thing that we did is herding, and that really decreased the losses to leopards significantly. So I had to a year where we lost 40 calves to predators, not only leopards, but predators in general. And when we introduced herding, that went down to about 2 calves a year. So that really decreased the conflict significantly. Of course, you have costs for the herders. It's also for the management, it's a lot more maintenance. But it really, of course, saved a lot of money and also the pain of losing cows. And then what we did further to decrease losses further was the livestock guarding dog, the Camino. He's been there for 4 years now. Since the president, we've lost, I think, 2 calves. But that was when cattle went away from the main herd, and they moved to different areas, and the herd didn't notice. And then we had 2 losses over the last 8 years. So compared to the 40 calves in 1 year, now 2 calves in 4 years that we take. Yeah, I mean, Cambindo has been, it's been not fighting leopards, but they have heard the leopards at night, and then the dog came and chased it away. And they saw leopards twice or so, and 2 times. So that really does keep them away. Yeah.
Somebody knows where the one of our leopard cages. Any other questions?
No, the vicinity of us. And there was there where Translocation is now up here. Where it changes, and then the female grown up dwarfs, and they were both that's
There was not a question, she mentioned that there were leopards killing dogs and cats. Leopards were illegal, running around.
That you want to say, or?
No, I would say no. I think there's some estimates for the area, not here. So some estimates for more or less Australia, what would be 20 leopards per 100 meters square. That's around this. What about donkeys in the road? What about donkeys in the road? Yeah, I heard you were saying one with cheetahs and from the animals. I'm not aware how it works with leopards. What donkeys do sometimes fight off carnivores. I don't know how leopards could be fight off their donkeys, maybe. But usually the one do is if you recognize that they create an alarm. When the leopard comes, does not get animals unprevented. Yes, and not only that, there's cheetahs and lions, and this happens. Yes, exactly. So this happens when animals can get into a crowd, which shouldn't. This crowd should be internal or not allowing animals to get in. So if you make a crowd to protect the carnivores, also help you to get in. And once they get in, all these movements creates some predatory instinct, and they start feeding on the moves or until they get chased away or something like that. So I think not only that, but cheetahs and lions, and in Europe also happens very often with wolves. Yes. Well, this is something obviously we have to test, and also how does affect me grabbing the prey and tying it. I don't remember how many kids I visited so far, but I had only once that the leopard didn't come back, and this was not because my smell, it's because actually I encountered the leopard. He was sitting next to the kid, and I only saw him 1 year, or I saw her when she was 60 meters away from me. And I saw something under the tree, and I wasn't sure because 60 meters in the bush, leopards are. And then I got close, she got up, and she just ran away. And then I went to her movements, and she didn't come back. I encountered this leopard again, another kid, another time, not on the field itself. So I was going towards the field, and I was checking the GPS, and so okay, I see the bit. And there was a moment I stopped, and I still observed. And I had two friends with me, or people with me, and I say stop, and I start looking around for almost a minute. You know, you feel observed, but you don't know what's going on. Then 1 minute I was standing like this, looking around in every single branch, every single grass. I didn't see anything. Until after 1 minute, I saw movement. 15 meters. That's a big thing. She wanted to be so easy. And she got out and ran away. And then started her again. So I did the same thing again, just tied the wire on the key and put the camera trap in there. She came back the same night, ate everything, she came back the same night, ate everything. And after this, she never left the key. I think it was the first time in country. Another leopard also, I went to the key and it was one of the first keys, so I never did it before. And you know, you walk in the bush and then you kneel down to get your cameras, and they saw the hands around me. It's not the best spot to be right now. And yeah, so there was a walk-up, I tied the walk-up to the tree. At first, I'm looking around and seeing and put some cameras and left. No, it's not true. I didn't tie it. I was so nervous and I forgot to put the wire. So I just put the camera traps. This female came like 2 hours later, grabbed the walk-up 300 meters away. So I couldn't get to it. I saw this on the data, and she went to the queue and she just ate everything. So she didn't care about this. Yes.
How long do male leopard versus female leopard stay on their clothes?
How long do male and female leopards stay on the kids? I cannot provide the numbers, but males can be afraid than females. And go for male Hindu or male oryx. So they usually spend longer. And females, they spend less time. In average,
But I thought maybe that the males spend a lot less time because they've got this big area to what is pretty late on acres.
yes, more or less. Yes. I mean, what I see, I don't have data for lots of these right now. Also, many of the babies and videos with more. But because they feel much to the prey, so these females that we have in our car are mostly on people, young oryx stars, what we pretty much look like because oryx are having, and some walk-ups. The male that we call it now is Baboon zebra, the male that call it quite famously, even there was a male that ate 3 trophy cougars in a row, probably with rabies. For sure. And also with oryx. So the most and much longer than I see. Yes, please.
What's next for information about, for example, whether other carnivores in the area. That's sort of pattern or
Yes, so you asked how we going to test about other animals stealing from the leopard field. Yes, it's in the pipeline. I'm not sure how we're going to test it, but we are still in analysis and statistics. But we are now busy collecting data and looking into this. I can give you some insights. Almost all the leopard kills I can remember, I saw hyena from the day eating quite a bit of food. And then also all of them, I would say, mongooses, mostly slender mongoose, and jackals. Jackals also, but not in many. And actually, I also watched once. And this is because leopards are really hide the fields on the bushes of the watches. You don't really see it. So it's in the pipeline. Okay, so you asked if you've seen any interactions with complete physical interactions between the leopards because they're holding apart from this one that we saw here, did you see the leopard activity? As far as we can know, one of the acoustic devices. So we put the devices on keys, we can the devices by colors, and you see how leopards communicate, and how this communication affects all color leopards actually. Because this is what we aim to color a male and a female in the same range. So we see how they interact with each other vocally or same barking, and we put the camera shots how they interact. In physical data, we do the same again. So we've seen this in the past. So males eating floating floaters, but often males eating each other because of something that not be effective. Yes? Actually, I think there's a lot of leopards around. The population is quite continuous. It's a healthy population. I'm really not worried about the breeding of not enough leopards. This I would really not be worried, not in Namibia. And not right now. Leopards are animals are in blind fences, and I don't think it's going to be an issue. We only collected data, DNA data from here, and we're planning to look this in the future. Right now, it's not one of the main research questions. And for us, more interesting would be to look at fertility because we have males and females colored, and then to capture some young animals that we don't know. We can say who was the mother, who was the father, and how this. You can maybe, if you really look at the long term, you can look at this person. Like you capture an animal 100 kilometers away, you realize, okay, the father was there and the mother was there. We don't have enough data to do this right now, actually. But yeah, it could be something. This is actually how the leopard, especially the quality works. So the females set in the home range is neighboring to the mothers, okay, while the males disperse on distance like the one I showed in the picture. The male do not settle around the mother around. What do you need for this? Enough available habitat. Right now, this in Namibia is not a problem. I mean, there are leopards in farmland, there are leopards in Finland, there are leopards in protected areas, there are leopards in the US. So habitat is not a problem. Enough available or not empty spaces for them, like we have leopards is going to come. So we probably have to fight each other to actually have enough space. So it's a breeding that they have to stay in the area to breed with the mother and the sister. I don't think this will happen in Namibia. In fragmented urban areas, there's a lot of human population, and the national parks are like islands. then yes, it can happen. I would be ready to take some tigers in India. I'm not sure, maybe it doesn't happen in India, but it would be the case of all the world, not in India. Yes. So maybe that person, yes. I don't know anyone, and like me, I'm not one of them. But once in a while, I get shared with people who hunted the leopard or trying to hunt the leopard and follow the leopard jumping like that. Or people who release the leopard in the cage and not doing very clever things with the leopard went out of the cage and attacked them. And I mean, I had this story of a piece of time where a guy was leaving the leopard trying to grab it out of the car or something like that. I don't know the background of this story, but I think it's something that really common, at least in Namibia. So far, in India is something that happens very often. There's also many more buildings and there's also leopards within the cities. But I think you need to find yourself in one of the situations for this to happen. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen when the leopard comes to a tent and attacks a man. It does happen, but it's not common. Not we only, but the rest of the community that's operated these days in Namibia for 20 years now. Nobody of our private ever attacked a leopard. I encountered these two leopards and other people, and another colleague actually encountered the female and surprised the female just prowling around away. Then who was 94 went to the hillside, and there was actually on the hillside there was cars. And this is a situation where you can find this every car. The car is around one side, around one side, which is the other side. So, yeah, it would be unlucky, unfortunate, but not problem. So, I think we can see how far apart.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'll be done. Meters of apart and what was the one? How many survive? Okay. I don't know about how many survive. There's no study done like this in India. Meters of leopards actually 1 in 3. I think there's probably around 2. When you see female in a trap with kittens, you see 1 to 2. And then so here, I'm not saying there's no 3, but mostly 1 to 2. And leopards get independent, I'm really bad with this, but almost year and a half, 2 years, something like this. Yes, but we see now Canada trap, the female makes a appear still the son or the daughter looking for mama stapper and checking the food to feed something for them. So they stay around for a while until male is first far and the female is the So apparently for female to reproduce again, I'm not good with this, but in around 2 years maybe. Okay, this is a good question, Alice. Happy to see you. So, if our work influences leopards taking things in trees, and if this increases then the food that kind of tree. Okay. It's very easy to answer this question. Before we start tying the keys to the tree, or we tying the keys, we just set cameras or we check leopards. I think we have 2 cases where the female put a key to the tree, and they just have it on the bush. So they actually don't do it, which means this is an adaptation to the area where they really lose a lot of prey to other predators, which is mostly happening with lions and with spotted iguanas. So it seems that here doesn't really make them invest directly in taking the tree. Another thing is, in some of the farms in the world, there's not trees big enough to really bring of there's bush this size. And one of the data we collect, when I mentioned before, in order to answer this, okay, So one of the data we collect is actually if there are big trees around. So this is not a basic thing. And yeah, the time of the day, we start looking into vegetation. And one of the questions is, are the big trees around? Was the key found on the tree? Was the key found on the ground? So to see that they did have the possibility to take the key of the tree, they do or not. And we consider 50-meter radius. So I mean that can fly very much further than trees. And so far, I saw in many cases that actually could, but they didn't. So I don't think our work is influencing this. Yeah, it's something always we have to push it, like our Slovenian and our person. I think we just don't take it. So if hyenas come there and let us around the north, we do that. So far, I do not, and I want to talk about little data, because we really have little data. We collect hyenas saw leopards in that we have hyenas come, leopards is not around. And actually, sometimes when the hyena comes, and most often, the best parts of the food are gone, and hyenas eat most of the Portas. Sometimes they come also on the first night. I mean, I don't know if the leopard is sitting behind the camera, just waiting for hyenas to go. I checked, obviously, the time, and there's several hours of separation between animals. So, yes. But in the West of Libya, I believe there are spotted hyenas there. And all kinds of, yeah, and you have a lot of trees. Yeah, no, but I'm saying that there's spotted hyenas around, so if you want something to put, you have to put it in the tree. Yeah, so the competition is not as high, is not as high with black hyenas than spotted hyenas.